So from the start of the game, we could see that Everton were prepared to be very passive in their pressing, allowing United to progress the ball out of their defensive third in the build-up phase with pretty much zero resistance. And so most of the game was played in the middle third under United's possession as Everton sat off in a 5-3-2 shape, and United started with their default possession shape, which of course is the 2-3-2-3. Because Antony and Rashford on the flanks retained high and wide positions, this forced Everton back into a back five, and Maupay and Demarai Gray would play as a front two, preferring to cut the passing lanes into Casemiro behind them, and so allowing both Shaw and Varane, the two United centre-backs, quite a lot of time and space on the ball. But before I go any further, let me tell you why you should consider downloading the OneFootball app, because it's become my all-in-one place for keeping up to date with the latest football news, whilst also being able to follow Manchester United specifically, giving me access to all the latest news, videos and articles. It's also the best place to keep up to date with any live football, as during the World Cup they had a live ticker for any updates on the match, confirmation for the lineups as well as a rating for each player, and also all the team stats you need as well to get a better in-depth view of how the game played out rather than just the goals scored. So if you want to support the channel and think you'd also be interested in looking at the OneFootball app, I'll leave it linked in the description and comments below. And so in order to deal with the space wide of their narrow front five, Lampard used more of a lopsided 5-3-2 with Demarai Gray playing more as a left winger when the ball would move out to the right side, sitting slightly deeper and wider than Maupay, but higher and narrower than Iwobi on the right side. And so when United would move the ball out to the right side, Demarai Gray would be the one to pressurise them, with Everton temporarily dropping into a 5-4-1 defensive shape. However, despite this, the route to progress the ball into Everton's half was pretty clear for United, and essentially all came down to their ability to switch the play quickly and have one of the players on the far side carry the ball forward and exploit the space wide of that narrow front five. And so if the ball was on the right side, for example, this would result in someone like Diego Dalot playing a long pass to switch the play over to Luke Shaw on the left and have him carry the ball forward. However, despite most of the game taking place with United trying to break down Everton's deep defensive block, as we've seen frequently throughout this season, United actually opened the scoring through a quick transition in attack. And the opening goal within the first 3 minutes showcased exactly what Martial offers as a centre forward. But the goal actually stems from some fantastic defensive play from Casemiro. We can see that Demarai Gray is running at United's back line, but Casemiro comes across the pitch, puts in a standing tackle to break up the play, and then immediately is looking for a forward pass, and that forward pass goes into Anthony Martial's feet, who drops off from the forward line, dragging both Conor Coady and James Tarkowski with him. And so from this image you can see Marcus Rashford on the far side in a higher position, ready to make a run in behind. And so having a striker like Anthony Martial who can drop off, receive the ball to feet and link the play, not only allows United to transition the attack quickly, drawing out the centre-backs who follow Anthony Martial's movement deep, and you'll see as the move goes on the impact that this has. And Martial manages to retain the ball under pressure, and as he looks to move the ball out to Marcus Rashford, you can see both Anthony and Rashford are in incredibly high positions, a lot narrower, looking to make runs into goal-scoring positions. And Martial moves the ball out to Rashford, who can now isolate Ben Godfrey in a 1v1 on the edge of the box. And because Tarkowski was drawn out of the back line following Anthony Martial's movement deep, he now doesn't have the recovery pace to get back in line, and Anthony is positioned right in that spot where Tarkowski would be, between Coady at the near post and Mykolenko at the back post. And Rashford's ball across the box is timed and weighted to perfection, and Anthony on the stretch is able to knock the ball into the net, giving United the opening goal. Now, as I said previously, because Everton were using a 5-3-2 shape, it was very congested in the centre of the pitch, but there was a lot of space in those wider positions. And as I said in my analysis of the Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest and Wolves games, which will all be linked below in the description, United in possession are very positionally fluid, with each player able to take up a multiple of different positions, and we saw this throughout this match. And we would see a lot of positional rotation between the players in each triangle on the flanks, and that would be Dalot, Fernandes and Antony on the right, and Malacia, Eriksen and Marcus Rashford on the left. Both Eriksen and Fernandes would look to float out wide of the Everton system, receiving the ball in wide positions, and then when the Everton defensive unit would shift across, they'd use their long passing ability to switch the play and look to exploit the space on the far side. But for the majority of the time in possession, because Everton weren't insistent on applying pressure to United's deeper players, both Eriksen and Fernandes could retain higher positions, sitting in the half space in behind the Everton midfield line. But as we've seen in previous games, it didn't take United long to transition from their 2-3-2-3 possession shape to that 3-1-6 system, which is becoming very familiar. We can see here that United essentially create a diamond shape around Everton's front two, and the reason this shape is a lot more effective at progressing the ball forward rather than the 2-3-2-3 shape was because Everton were using their front two, so having a back three gave United a wider base to circulate the ball around them, but also having a player in that defensive midfield position at the point of the diamond, sitting in behind Maupay and Gray, looking to open up a passing lane to receive the ball from one of the back three, means that Everton's midfield double pivot are in a dilemma if they push up onto that deeper line player, which in this example was Christian Eriksen with Casemiro dropping to the right side of the back three. Then this leaves a massive space in behind the Everton midfield for one of Fernandes, Malacia or Anthony Martial to drop into, giving United a viable route to progress the ball forward. Now, as I said, United are very positionally fluid, and so a lot of different players could drop into the back three. We saw Casemiro in the previous example dropping onto the right side, but we would also see Christian Eriksen dropping to the left side to receive the ball as well, creating that back three, and Dalot and Malacia could invert as well, with Luke Shaw becoming a left-sided centre-back of sorts. And so with this fluidity and a number of different players being able to drop into that back three, but also into that defensive midfield position as well, it becomes incredibly hard for the opposition to man-to-man press you, as they would almost certainly get dragged a long way out of position, giving United space in the centre of the pitch to exploit. And so because Everton didn't do this and instead retained their narrow pentagon shape ahead of the back five, the likes of Christian Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro were able to drop into positions where they had space and time, and this is why United control possession in the middle third for large parts of the game. Now, the reason I think United are so much better at progressing the ball into the final third and ultimately creating chances is because their deeper lying players are just better on the ball, with the likes of Fred, McTominay, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in those deeper positions. United struggle to move the ball quickly and find those forward incisive and riskier passes that are essential for you to progress the ball into the final third and ultimately create chances of substance. I think Luke Shaw in that centre-back position has definitely showcased this. He played a number of very good long passes over the back line, with this one finding Bruno Fernandes in behind the Everton back line in the box, leading to him heading the ball back to Anthony Martial to get a shot away on the edge of the box. A lot of the ball progression via forward passes would come from the two players in those wider positions of the back three. Here we can see that Diego Dalot is inverting, moving into an advanced central position, as Casemiro has dropped into this kind of right-sided centre-back position. And as I said before, Onana and Idrissa Gueye were being drawn up towards a player in that deep single pivot, which in this example is Christian Eriksen. And so here we see Casemiro able to exploit this with a lofted pass over him into Anthony Martial, who plays a 1-2 with Bruno Fernandes, and now United have progressed the ball into the final third. And in this game in particular, I actually thought Anthony Martial was fantastic. His ability to link the play quickly and effectively is what strings a whole attack together. And a great example of this is here as Christian Eriksen picks up the ball after a turnover in the United half and immediately looks for that vertical pass into Anthony Martial's feet. And as soon as he receives the pass, he's able to lay the ball off first time for the on-running Marcus Rashford. And almost in tandem, like Rooney and Ronaldo in 06-07, Martial and Rashford are able to work the ball to the edge of the box, with Rashford's ability to carry the ball forward at speed and Martial's movement down the side of the defender, being very reminiscent of that Wayne Rooney goal back in 06-07 when Ronaldo drives forward with the ball and slips in Rooney as Rashford does for Martial, but rather than being able to finish the one-on-one with a dink over the keeper as Wayne Rooney did against Bolton, Jordan Pickford does well to come out early, smother the ball and makes a crucial save from the one-on-one position. Now, I actually think that United did a very good job pressing Everton high up the pitch, and we saw them being extremely aggressive in doing so and taking quite a few risks. We can see here, as usual, that Rashford and Antony are in high and narrow positions, creating a narrow front three of Anthony Martial, pressing Everton's back three, as they would drop into a kind of 3-5-2 shape in the build-up. But behind United's narrow front three, we see Bruno Fernandes and Eriksen doing what they usually do, which is push up to man-to-man press the opposition's deep central midfielders, but because Everton used a midfield three, who would all retain fairly deep positions in their defensive third, in order to stop Everton having an extra man in that central area, Casemiro would push up alongside Eriksen and Fernandes to man press Onana, which did leave a massive space in behind United's central midfield for Demarai Gray to drop into looking to receive the ball, but United's timing of their press and the coordination between pressing players when each player moves to press was very good from United. And when Everton would look to use their outlets as the wing-backs on the flanks, we would see both Dalot and Malacia being extremely aggressive in pushing out to apply the pressure and stopping them being able to turn with the ball. And Ten Hag's willingness to commit players forward to the press high up the pitch was very effective at stopping Everton playing out of their defensive third and forcing them long, which the majority of the time just handed the ball back to United. And it wasn't long into the second half when we saw United retake the lead. And it did stem from that back three that United were using in possession, and this time Christian Eriksen had dropped onto the right side of that back three. And you see here he's almost in a quarterback-like role. And I did do a video a couple of months back looking at the tactics from the NFL that Ten Hag could take inspiration from and how they could be applied to Manchester United. And in that video, which I will be leaving linked below, I did talk about United potentially using a quarterback-like player in this exact position. And here we can see that as Eriksen has the time and space to get the ball out of his feet and play a long driven pass out to Marcus Rashford on the left flank, who's able to isolate Seamus Coleman in a 1v1, and his ability to move the ball so quickly from his left foot to his right foot and back onto his left foot, completely wrong foots Seamus Coleman, giving Rashford that space for that low delivery hard across the box on his left foot, which, just like his assist for Antony's goal in the first half, is timed, weighted and positioned perfectly, making it incredibly hard for Conor Coady to do anything but knock the ball in his own net, giving Marcus Rashford his second assist of the game. Now, I should mention that despite being the better side in the first half, United actually went into half-time level, and it came from one of the weirdest goals you'll see all season. Firstly, on the edge of the box, Onana just absolutely bodies Casemiro, and it is pretty unusual for the Brazilian to lose a duel on the edge of his own box, but from here the mistakes get even weirder. Onana plays the ball down the side for Maupay, and it's not even a dangerous situation. Varane has blocked the cutback, and really Maupay can only try to squeeze it in at the near post, and for some reason David De Gea's feet seem to be stuck in mud, and almost like in a Sunday League match, the ball just squirms between his legs, his reactions are far too slow, and Conor Coady's there to knock the ball into the net, and somehow Everton managed to get level. But despite United eventually making it 3-1 and making it look like quite a comfortable victory, I think Everton's lack of individual offensive quality was a fundamental reason why they weren't able to get back in the game, as they did have opportunities. They looked most dangerous when they were able to progress the ball through the centre of the pitch through one of their central midfielders carrying the ball forward or making a run ahead of play. In the first half it was Alex Iwobi from the right side and Demarai Gray from the left side, who were their key players, being able to drive the ball through the centre of the pitch and work the ball into the final third, but they just didn't have the quality to create anything of substance. However, in the first half, Everton were a lot more effective, being able to take advantage of United's aggressive man-to-man press through playing a few quick passes down the right side and having Doucouré run off Casemiro, receive the ball and burst beyond Luke Shaw, carrying the ball into the box from where Seamus Coleman's shot across goal is saved by David De Gea, and Mykolenko just can't sort his feet out, and in the end Everton aren't even able to get a shot on goal and Diego Dalot clears the ball from danger. However, Everton were able to exploit United's man-to-man press later on in the game, as Conor Coady plays a long pass upfield and Calvert-Lewin drops off, just gets an edge away from Rafael Varane, and first time manages to knock the ball into Demarai Gray's path. And to be fair to United, Everton do work this very well, opening up the space between the two centre-backs, Varane and Luke Shaw. Maybe Luke Shaw could be a bit higher and step up when Varane does, but Seamus Coleman also runs off Malacia, and Gray and Coleman play a fantastic 1-2 down the right side. Demarai Gray then beats Malacia in a 1v1 in the box far too easily and drives the ball across goal, and Calvert-Lewin knocks the ball into the net, and to be honest, United were really let off the hook here. But for Demarai Gray just straying offside earlier on in the move, Everton would have found themselves level at 2-2. Now, we did see Fred come on for Casemiro, and Ten Hag actually moved to a back 5 later on in the game, and I am planning on doing videos both on Fred and Ten Hag potentially using a back 5, so I'll just note it in this video. I won't go into it and explain it, as I'll leave that for a separate video so this video isn't too long. But overall, yet again, there were very many positives in this game. There are still a few tactical concerns I do have with Ten Hag's man-to-man press, particularly the space that's left in behind the midfield. But I think once again you have to give it to Marcus Rashford, who's proven to be the difference for Ten Hag at the moment. And once again he's really becoming a clutch player, as we've seen over the previous few games, creating something out of complete nothing for that second goal. But I will hold off on fully analysing Rashford's return to form until I can see he can transfer this performance to the bigger games, and the game against Manchester City is definitely a great place to start. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, give the video a like, and you can check the description for more videos which will be linked down there as well. Put your thoughts in the comment section and follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more content.